You're still manually hunting down for leads like it's 2020? If you do, please stop it. In the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal the exact n8n automation systems that's landing me appointments with C-suite executives. This isn't theory, this isn't fluff. These are the identical automations I've built and refined for my own business that deliver qualified appointments straight to my calendar. But here is what makes it different. We are combining cutting-edge AI with hyper-personalization techniques that's so sophisticated that prospects genuinely believe that we've spent hours researching them personally. And so that's how we get replies. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to cover the n8n automation and why this is my go-to for lead gen strategies and why I use it combined with Go High Level. I'm going to walk you through the different LinkedIn automation workflows. And finally, I will show you how to enrich this data and trigger personalized outreach sequences. So let's dive in. First of all, we are going to see how this is all structured. So we are going to create a pipeline in Go High Level. So this pipeline doesn't have a lot of effect. It's just to track who we've sent the invites to, who accepted the invitation, and who replied. Next, we are going to deploy 4 different workflows in n8n. First, this is going to be the Unipile send invitation. Unipile is the connector between n8n and LinkedIn. Next, we are going to deploy the Unipile detect accepted invitation. Next, we are going to deploy the Unipile send messages. And next, we are going to deploy the Unipile get messages. Inside Go High Level, we will only need 2 different workflows, and you will see that they are very easy to build. The first one is execute LinkedIn invite, and the second one is LinkedIn follow-up after connection. So this is basically just sending the message sequences. Inside Go High Level, we'll need different custom fields. So I'm going to show you where to find those custom fields. So here inside Go High Level, you'll want to go to settings, and here you'll see that there is custom fields. So you will want to click on these custom fields, and here you will see different folders. So the first one is going to be LinkedIn. So this didn't click on the right button. So here on the folders. And here we need LinkedIn connection, which is a checkbox. LinkedIn message 1, which is a large text. LinkedIn message 2, LinkedIn message 3. LinkedIn summary, this is when we scrape the person's LinkedIn profile and get the AI to create a summary. Next, we want the invitation ID and then the number of LinkedIn messages. So this is basically just a kill switch to make sure that people don't abuse the system. So we allow a few back and forth, but if we start seeing 20 LinkedIn messages, we just shut the engine altogether. Provider ID, so this is a little bit tricky because this is called differently from one API call to the other inside Unipile. Then chat ID and then personalized video. But here the personalized video is going to be a subject for another video. Basically here instead to send a LinkedIn to message, we send a personalized video. So we can create a voice overlay and a website, their website on the background, etc., etc. This is not what we'll be doing today, but this is one of the reasons why I prefer to have a custom-made tool like that rather than a tool available off the shelf on the market. We can also send voice messages and stuff, so it makes it a lot more interesting. So now I'm going to show you the different custom values that we need. So we need a webhook for LinkedIn send invite and then a webhook LinkedIn message. So inside custom values, this is basically just a list. So if you don't know how custom values and custom fields mean inside Go High Level, you need to think of it as custom value is at account level and custom fields is at contact level or company level. We are using both. So we'll need to replace the webhook URL inside the LinkedIn invite, and then we need to replace the LinkedIn message webhook as well. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. In regards to custom field, you don't need to change anything. We are enriching the data, so we have another folder which is called AI analysis, and here we have website or industry info, need, niche, and specific services. And I will break this down in a second, and you will see why we are getting so many positive replies. So next, I'm going to go over the tags. So this is very simple as well. We only need 4 different tags. So LinkedIn invite sent, LinkedIn connection accepted, and then LinkedIn reply, and then enriched. So that means we've been able to scrape the website, and we've been able to get the AI to analyze that website. And of course, tell us what do they need so that we can craft the message that specifically resonates with that lead. So next, I'm going to talk about importing the list inside Go High Level. So inside, there are a couple of ways to do that. So we can create a workflow inside n8n, which will scrape different profiles inside LinkedIn using AP5, but that's not my preferred method. My preferred method is to go on Apollo, get the list of leads, and then use a tool. And if you're part of the community, I'll give you a couple of tools actually that allows you to get lists from Apollo 94% cheaper. If you are within the community and you really want leads, you get million leads and then 123 million US leads here that you can import directly. Obviously, you will need to segment those lists. You don't want to import a few million leads inside your Go High Level account, but there is more leads than you will ever need in there. So next, I'm going to break down the process. So we are filtering leads by job title and the number of employees. Next, we trigger an empty invitation request. That's really important. I've measured it with messages and without messages. An empty connection requests work better. And it also allows to increase the volume of connections that you can send. So in regards to volume, the limits are these. So this is picked from Unipar's website. So a paid or an active LinkedIn account, you can send between 80 to 100 invitations per day and approximately 200 per week with a message up to 300 characters. I'm currently doing approximately 150 invitations per day and I haven't been blocked, and I only have the premium account. I don't have Sales Navigator. Free account, you can send 15 invitations per week. So just to be honest, these 15 invitations per week is not going to get you any results. You really need volume. It's just a bit like cold emailing. You need a fair amount of volume in order to make it work. With the system I'm about to show you, you can connect several accounts. So if you have 4 or 5 different LinkedIn accounts, you can connect them all onto the system. So that increases the volume too. So next, I'm going to show you what kind of data do we actually scrape and what do we do with the scraped data. So we get obviously the website, and inside the workflow, you will see that we are using, I would like to call that a native n8n scraper, so that we don't need an external service. It works really well, but we also have a fallback system using AP5. If the lead have too much JavaScript on their website, or if they block any scraper, we use a third-party tool in order to get the data. Once we have the data, we get the AI to analyze what do they sell, what kind of verbiage do they use, how do they sell it, what's their sales process, and from that, we define what do they need more of. And this is what we use inside our messages. That's how we get replies. Because people don't just reply to, I've built a tool that does this, X, Y, and Z. They reply to stuff that's already interesting to them. So if they are in the real estate niche, do they need more house listings? If they are in the solar niche, do they need more solar installation quotations? If they are in the car dealership niche, do they need more test drives? And so on and so forth. So that's really important. It's just basic human psychology. People know what they need and they respond well to you offering more of what they already know they need. So that's really basic, but that's working pretty well. So we do that by scraping the website and also scraping the LinkedIn profile. We get a LinkedIn summary. Then we check if the connection request has been accepted. If it has been accepted, they go into basically a message sequence. So LinkedIn message 1, 2, and 3, which are hyper-personalized. And as I've mentioned previously, we can replace one of those by a voice message or a personalized video. And if they don't accept the connection request, well, we continue with email. That's the process. Before we dive into the actual workflows, you will need to make sure that you have a Unipile account. Unipile is the connector between n8n and LinkedIn. So if you are part of AK Extreme community on a yearly plan, you get free access. This is part of your package. And if you're not a member of the community, you can create your own account. It's $49 per month. So to connect Unipile, LinkedIn, and n8n, all you need to do is obviously create an account. And then you will go into Accounts, create an account, and here you will select LinkedIn. As the next step, you will need to make sure that you have access tokens. So you will generate a token. This is what it's going to be used for, so you can define it properly. Set the custom date, so I make sure that this is as far as possible because I don't want to keep tweaking that. And here I'll select everything. I'll click on generate, and this is going to give me an API key. So this is going to be needed, so you need to put it aside in a notepad or somewhere and make sure that you don't lose it. Otherwise, you need to create another one. As the next step, you will need to make sure that you set up a webhook to receive messages. To do that, you will need to create an empty workflow inside n8n. So just create a new workflow, and you will start this workflow with a webhook. You're going to get the production URL and copy and paste it. And as the next step, you'll want to go into webhooks, create a webhook, messaging, name it whatever you like. And that's going to be, we are going to select everything, continue for all accounts. And here I'm going to paste the URL from the webhook I've just created. And here create a webhook. So that's about it. It's really straightforward to connect n8n and LinkedIn using Unipile. There is something that you need to pay attention to. If you are on a free trial, this is going to be different than if you are on a paid plan. Inside the workflows, you need to make sure that you are using the right one. So this is this value here that you need to make sure is correct. And you just need to click on it and copy it to the clipboard as well. So really simple. This will allow us to send LinkedIn connection request, check if the connection request has been accepted, send messages, send follow-up messages, and see if people replied. Now I'm going to show you the actual workflows and how to do that. First of all, you'll want to have an n8n account. You can have a cloud version or a self-hosted version. I tend to prefer the self-hosted version, especially when we are dealing with large files, because there are several settings that we can use where we can increase the size of the files that we can import inside n8n. And we can't do that if we are using the cloud version. But if you are not technical, you can really do with the cloud version. It's really simple. If you are a little bit technical, or if you want to just get your hands dirty, You can go inside Aka Extreme, and here inside the n8n self-hosting documentation, there is a video on how to install it. And here there are the different variables and the different configuration settings that you can use so that you can import and download and upload large files. If you are not technical and you still want the n8n self-hosted version, you go here on the Done For You n8n installation and then just ask someone to do it for you. On Fiverr, it's $25, so it's really not worth spending half a day doing that. You can get someone to do it for you, and you never have to think about it again. Just make sure that you use a solution like Render or DigitalOcean or stuff like that. They'll make it easy for you to update your n8n instance, because they update it regularly and you don't want antiquated version. You want something that's fairly recent. So that's it for n8n. Now I'm going to show you the different workflows. So I'm going to go inside the classroom, and here AI LinkedIn outreach. The first workflow we are going to deal with is the workflow to send the invitation. And then the second one will detect if the invite has been accepted. The third one will send messages. The fourth one will get messages. We're actually not going to get the raw message. We'll detect a reply, and then we'll mark the lead as the lead replied, so that we don't actually keep sending the message sequences to people that have already replied. And here we just have a utility workflow, which is basically handling different API calls for Unipile. Now we are going to see the first workflow. So this first workflow is located inside the template. So to do that, you need to go inside the classroom and then look for the AI LinkedIn outreach. And then here you'll see 4 different templates. So you click on this first one. This is going to download the JSON file onto your computer. As a next step, I'm going to clear that so you can see how I do it. You click on those 3 dots and then import from file, and then look for the JSON file that you've just downloaded. And here you'll see that now you have the workflow fully deployed. You will obviously need to change the credentials. In this workflow, I've already pinned data so that we can process it, so I can show you how it works. Obviously, you will need to remove this webhook and make sure that you replace the URL. And so let me just show you how to do that. We are going to click on webhook. That's going to be a post request. And here we are going to click on the production URL. We are going to copy it. And then inside Go High Level, we are going to go into settings. And here we are going to go inside custom values and make sure that we replace the webhook LinkedIn invite. So we click on those 3 dots and then edit and then paste it here and update. We could have used the test URL, but I don't like that because it can create errors. If you have -test here, the workflow is just not going to work. So I prefer to have the workflow activated and using the production URL. And then inside n8n, when this first runs, I unlink the first one because I obviously need to be able to map the data. I wait for the data to be processed, so the data to arrive in this webhook. Then I click on execution, and then here I select the execution and I copy it to editor. So basically this gets pinned inside the first webhook. I'm going to unpin this one and link this webhook back in so that you can see how the rest of the workflow works. So here we set the identifier ID. The identifier ID is the end of the LinkedIn URL. So this is just an expression that extracts the end of the LinkedIn URL. So if you've uploaded lists from Apollo, this is very, very simple. If your LinkedIn URLs are formatted differently, you need to make sure that you put everything inside the spreadsheet. Make sure that the data is clean before you import it inside Go High Level. As a next step, we check if we have enriched the LinkedIn profile. So here, when the LinkedIn profile is enriched, it contains a tag, so LinkedIn enriched. If this is not the case, it will pass this request inside API. So API is a library of actors. That's basically a list of scrapers that you can use. It's really good and it's really efficient. So here the one that we are using is this one, LinkedIn Profile Detail Scraper, no cookies required. So I click on this one, and here you see that I have URL, and then I have a JSON, and here inside the API, I have different API endpoints, and I'm using this one, the run actor synchronously and get dataset items. Because I'm using one, I'm passing or I'm scraping one item at a time. If I was to scrape several profiles, I would use this one instead, run actor, and then I would use the other one to basically pass the data when it's ready. But for the sake of this scenario, we only need this one, run actor synchronously and get dataset item. Here there is, in my opinion, a security issue. The token is appended to the URL, so if you use it inside n8n and you don't secrete, it can get intercepted. And basically anyone can use your API key. So to counter that, you need to split the URL. So whatever is provided here, you copy that, you paste it inside your notepad. And then as a next step, you will set general credential types, query auth. And then here, this is going to be empty if you've never created anything like that. So you click on this pen, write token, and then paste the rest of the API token here. That way, your API token cannot be seen. Now we also need the username. The username is the identifier ID. Next, we are waiting for the data to be ready. So that's a wait step. We might not need it. And next, we check if we actually have data. So if we have data, we'll have the full name. Here, as you can see, we have the full name inside the basic info. So it exists. If it exists, that means we have the profile URL and we have the profile has been scraped, And here we use all this data in order to create a LinkedIn summary, which will then update inside Go High Level. So as a next step, we want to make sure that we also scrape the person's website. So this workflow includes what I call an integrated scraper. So this is working inside n8n without any exterior tools. The only exterior tool that we use is a fallback. So this is an API request that's been made inside API also, just to make sure that if we don't have the data in the first place, or if there is an error when we scrape the website, we try another way. So if you don't like that, you can just unlink it. And then you are obviously not going to process leads for which you don't have the website data. I'm going to link it back in. So to scrape the website, we need a GET request, which is just the URL of the website. Here we set the response format to auto-detect, and we set a timeout, so 20,000 milliseconds. As the next step, we just extract the HTML body because we are not interested in the header or anything else. We remove the extra tags, so you can put that inside ChatGPT if you want it explained, but that one you can just copy paste. It works really well that way. Here we convert whatever we have into Markdown. In this node, we make sure that the text isn't too big, otherwise we are not going to be able to process it within the next node. So we truncate the data, and here we just ask, and that's really important, to answer the following questions as best as you can. So you are conducting market research and you need to define precisely what this company is selling in great detail. You will structure your answer in specific order to give me B2B or B2C detail of what they are selling, who are they targeting, how do they sell their products or services, do they sell by appointment, e-commerce, or otherwise, are they profit, non-profit, or government? So here, this is all really important. This is the data from their website, and the reply we get is something like that. So based on the provided data, here is the answer to the questions. So here we get a mini marketing analysis. And then as a next step, we update the lead. So we update the lead inside Go High Level. So by the way, I need to delete this one because n8n had a bug. So I will just show you how to use the high level node directly. So that's going to be create or update. We are using the data from the webhook. So I'm just going to slide the email address in here. Here I'm going to select the right account credentials. If you don't know how to set the account credentials to connect Go High Level and n8n, we have a specific video about that. Here I'll add a field that's going to be a custom field. And here I'm going to look for website data. From the list, it's going to be website data. And here I'm going to select this and save. That's as simple as that. Now I'm going to connect this back here. And now I'm going to get the AI to pretty much analyze everything. So to redefine the niche, redefine their needs, define if they are lead dependent, redefine the niche again, but in a slightly different way, in a way that can be used to craft messages. Then I'm going to update the lead again. I will proceed the same way than what I've just done here. So I will delete this. Here I'm going to connect this update contact. I'll make sure that this is update or create. And then here as the next step, I just want to make sure that this is connected. And I'm not going to show you how to do that because I've already done it. But I'm going to select the email here. And then here I'll add a field, custom field. I'm going to choose the list. And for instance, I'll just do one so that you can see. I'm going to pick need. And here I'm going to use the value. And obviously you need to proceed the same way for the rest of it. Now I'm going to create the LinkedIn sequence. So I'm going to use this prompt. But what's really important is this here, the context for replacement. So we use the marketing analysis, the website data, in order to craft highly personalized messages. We do it 3 times. The prompts are slightly different from one to another because we need the follow-up sequence to be like in a sequential and logical order. Here we have a message sanitizer just to make sure that it's all normalized, like it removes, here is the output, or here is your LinkedIn message, all this stuff that we don't want. And then as the next step, we have the unipile, and then we have a get request. So this is a little bit tricky here. I wouldn't call it tricky, but this is something that you need to know. Now we have all the LinkedIn messages created. So as a next step, we'll want to send the invitation, and then we'll want to mark this invitation as sent inside Go High Level. So first of all, we need to create a GET request. we need to make sure that is accurate, because when you create a new account, this is not always like that. Sometimes it's API 9, and you need to make sure that this is set properly. Next, you need to make sure that you pass the end of the LinkedIn URL of the profile that you are willing to connect to. You need to make sure that you have the authentication set. So this is a bit different than previously. Here we have this is generic credential types. This is either auth. So I'll show you the difference so that you really understand. So here, when we were using API, the API token was placed at the end of the URL. So we've used the query token, and then here we are using the header. So that means the API key passes through the header. So you need to make sure you select header auth, and then click on this pen, and then create a new set of credentials using the API key. And then as the next step, you want to make sure that you have your own account ID. If you are within Aka Extreme on a yearly plan, this is provided so that you don't need to pay an extra $49 a month for Unipile. This is included in your membership. If you have your own Unipile account, obviously you need to modify that. Here you need to make sure that you have the header parameter set as accept, and then application/JSON. So that allows to get the user. So that's what I was mentioning previously, is that this is a little bit tricky because the way it's called here and the way it's called in the connection request is not the same. So next we need to make a post request. Again, make sure that you use the right value here. The authentication remains the same. And then here you're going to use provider ID, which is provided by the previous GET request, and then make sure that you have the right account ID as well. Next, we'll update Go High Level. So we are going to update using the invitation ID. So this one hasn't been passed because this has already been sent to that lead. The connection request has already been sent to that lead. If we haven't sent it, it would be green here. Here we just pass the LinkedIn messages properly. So as you can see, this is all formatted perfectly. And then here we pass the LinkedIn summary. And then really important, we add a tag. So when you are using tag or updating tags, you need to make sure that you are updating the current tags and then add a new one. Because if I was just going to remove that, this would remove all tags and I'll add this one. So that's really important to do it this way. Now I'll just save that. And here as the next step, I'll show you the way it's built if the lead has already been enriched. So if the lead has already been enriched, it contains the tag enriched. So we can process with creating the LinkedIn sequences immediately without having to scrape and enrich. So here this is exactly the same process. You just need to make sure that this data is coming from the webhook. So here this lead doesn't contain the company name, so it's red, otherwise it would be green. So this is coming from the webhook because we know that lead has already been enriched. It contains the tag enriched. So we don't need to get the data from here. We get it from Go High Level. And then here, this is exactly the same process. We have a get method. That get method uses the end of the LinkedIn profile URL, the same set of credentials, the account ID, which is being sent as a query parameter. And then here, make sure that you have the header parameters set as accept and then application/JSON. And then here, this is exactly the same as above. So we just send the connection request, then update the lead inside Go High Level. This time we update the lead with the LinkedIn messages, and we don't obviously pass the enriched data because we already have it. And then here we just make sure that we add the tag as LinkedIn invitation sent. So that's the first workflow. So it's really straightforward. Just to resume, here we check if we already have the LinkedIn profile summary. If we do, great. If we don't, we just process it using API. Here we check if we can scrape the website. If we can scrape the website, great. If we can't, we try to scrape it with API. So once we've scraped the website, we ask the AI in a sequential order to create a marketing analysis and know what they need more of. Then we update the lead inside Go High Level. Once the lead has been updated, we create the LinkedIn sequences. And then here we get the lead. So we get what they call the provider ID. And then we send the invite. We update the invite inside Go High Level. Inside this lower branch, we assume we already have everything. So we create the LinkedIn sequences and then just send the invite. So that's the process. Now we've done the hardest part. So we'll need two workflows inside Go High Level. The first one is going to be to send the LinkedIn invitation. And the second one is going to be to send the LinkedIn follow-up messages. So to send the invitation, we'll use this execute LinkedIn invite. So if you are part of Aka Extreme, you get a free Go High Level account as part of the membership. And if you're not, you can create your own workflows and your own account. Here we don't need a trigger. We only have a webhook and an opportunity update. This webhook is the custom value of webhook LinkedIn invite, which is what we've already modified. So this is, as a quick reminder, this is in this webhook here. That's the production URL. And you will want to make sure that this is set correctly inside the settings and inside the custom values. And as I've mentioned, inside the webhook LinkedIn invite. So once you've done that, you will obviously want to add contacts inside this workflow. So to add contacts to the workflow, we'll do that manually. You will see that this is not that manual. This is basically running as often as we want. So if you don't know how to do that, first of all, you will need to create a smart list. So just need to click on filter and here filter by whatever you want. And then you will have a button here to say save as a smart list. Next, you select all of the leads and then you click this automation button. Here you will name this action. That's going to be automation type workflow. And then here you're going to look for the execute LinkedIn invite. Here you will send as a drip mode. You will start it whenever you want. Batch quantity is 1. That means we process 1 lead at a time. And we repeat that every 10 minutes. So that's 6 leads every hour. I've tried that for a while now. Still haven't been blocked or blacklisted. So this is rather safe. So that's the process. Here you'll need to click add to automation, obviously, and this is going to run continuously until the list runs out. If you want to see what's happening, you want to go inside bulk action, and here you will have 3 dots and you will be able to see basically how many % of that list has been processed. You can pause or resume it. It's really quite straightforward. Now, as the next step, we'll also want to check that the invitations that we've sent have been accepted or not. So here that's going to be a different workflow. So this is this one, the Unipile detect accepted invitation. So inside the community, this is in the AI LinkedIn outreach section. This is this one, template number 2, detect accepted invite. So here you need to click on this button, download, and then here as the next step, you will click those 3 dots and then import from file, and you will look for the JSON file that you just downloaded. Now we'll want to detail the process, so we can run it manually, and I will run it now so that you can see how it works. or we can run it on schedule. So I prefer to run it on schedule. So checks periodically, so every 15 minutes, if a connection has been accepted or if a connection hasn't been accepted. In Unipile, there are a couple of ways to do that. We can either check the connections that we have, or basically contact list, and then compare it against the connections that have been sent, or we can do it differently. We can send the connection request with a message and then monitor the reply of that message. Now, I don't like this second method because we are not able to send as many connection requests when we include messages. So here, I'm going to show you the process. So again, we have a GET request. This one uses this URL. Just make sure that this value is correct. So I've already mentioned it in the video, but this changes. So you always need to make sure that you have the correct one. So here we set the credential. So again, I will repeat it because that's really, really important. You don't want to have your authentication token exposed everywhere. So you choose the generic credential type, either auth, and then this is going to be empty. So you click on this pen and then you create your authentication token here. So the account ID, this is being passed as query parameter. That means it gets appended to this URL here. So you will need to replace the value of this account. And here I'm only getting the last 10 because you're getting the latest connections. Here I'll split by connections, so each relation is becoming its own item. And then as the next step, I'll loop each item and verify inside Go High Level if this lead contains a tag, which is basically that the LinkedIn invite has been sent. If this is the case, I verify that the contact ID exists. And then if it exists, I split it again. Just extract certain amount of data and then update everything. And if not, I'll just run it again just to make sure that we are checking that the person is connected or not. If the person is connected, this is updating the lead inside Go High Level. So there is a checkbox inside the custom fields with LinkedIn connection. Value is yes. And when that box gets checked, there is a tag that gets added so that the lead goes into the next workflow, which is the workflow to send follow-up messages. You will see that this is a very simple workflow. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. So it's going to be Unipile. And here we are sending messages. So sending messages has a webhook, which also you will need to replace. So this is the production URL. Just make sure you copy that and replace it inside the custom values inside Go High Level. So I'll do it again. So just to make sure you actually see me doing it. So you click on custom values and here you'll see webhook LinkedIn message. Click on those three dots and then edit custom value and then paste it in here. So that's all you need to do. So this workflow is very, very simple. It's just sending a message using this post request. So again, this uses the right DNS. Just make sure that yours is correct. The credentials are set exactly the same way. Here we have a different set of parameters which are being sent as headers. So this is accept and then application/JSON. Content type is multipart/form data. This is actually quite interesting because we would be able to send voice messages or videos. And here we are just mapping the fields. So we are sending the body. And the text is the custom message text. So here you see we have data about the lead, but here we have custom data and this is passed as a message. This is what we will set inside the Go High Level workflow. You will see that this is very, very simple. It's slightly different than what we usually do because we usually only use the lead but here we really want a specific message to be passed. So that's what we'll be using. So that's it. So when the message has been sent, you get the object that the chat has been started. We use the chat ID and we pass it back inside Go High Level, so that when the conversation continues, we make sure that the conversation runs within the same lead and within the same conversation. And here we update the lead inside Go High Level with the chat ID. So inside Go High Level, there is a single workflow that organizes and basically sends all those follow-up messages and checks if the lead has already replied, because we wouldn't want to send follow-up messages if the lead has already replied. So here this is this LinkedIn follow-up after connection. So the trigger is that the LinkedIn connection added is yes. So this is this checkbox that we update when we detect that the connection has been validated or accepted. So when that triggers, we add a tag. So LinkedIn connection accepted. And then there is a webhook. So this webhook is the webhook LinkedIn message. This webhook LinkedIn message sends this custom data. So this is message contact.linkedin underscore message 1. And this passes the value of the custom field LinkedIn message 1. And here, as inside the rest of the workflow, we also have this webhook. That's exactly the same one, but here you see that the value of the message is different. So we are passing the value of contact LinkedIn message 2. And here we are passing the value of contact.linkedin.message 3. That means we need a single workflow that sends the messages that are dynamically created when we enrich the lead. So all you need to do here is just to make sure that your custom value.webhook underscore LinkedIn underscore message is the value of this webhook sent message production URL. And that's all you need to do. And when someone accepts the invitation, they enter this workflow, this Go High Level workflow, and it keeps running until we send 3 messages. Now, as a last step, we will want to check if a lead has replied inside LinkedIn, because we don't want to keep sending messages to people who have already replied. So to do that, we have a fourth workflow, which is called Get Messages. So you need to click on this link, download the JSON file onto your computer. And then here inside Go High Level, inside n8n, when you create a new workflow, you'll click on the 3 dots and then import from file. Here you will see that we have a webhook, which you will need to replace. So delete this one and then just create a new one. This is a post request. And here we just extract data. So I'm not going to break it down, but here, as you can see, this is the data we get from Unipile. Here we check inside Unipile the messages based on the message ID. Here we also extract the number of messages. We do that because this system allows to reply automatically, and we don't want people to abuse the system and like to send 20, 50, 100 messages just to test if this is an AI or not. So this is a kill switch. And here we get the contacts inside Go High Level using the full name. Here we retrieve the information from this given lead. And here we just make sure that that lead gets updated with the tag LinkedIn reply. Here, as I've mentioned previously, it's really, really important to make sure that you also pass the old tags, because if you just remove that, this is going to override it, and you're going to end up with a single tag, which is going to be LinkedIn reply, and every other tag will disappear. So that's the whole process. That has taken about an hour. I hope you've enjoyed the video. As usual, you can click the link below if you want to join the community. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.